Hello, I'm Petru and this is WellCode, and I'm so excited to be back with another interview. Together with me is Yury. I've known him since organizing Mind Coding, which was a coding contest. He is from Belarus. He's a really strong coder, and by strong I mean among the top ranked among the whole world in competitive programming. And since then he joined Google as part of an acquired startup, but more about that in the interview.
So my name is Yury, and hi Petr. It's really nice to participate in your interview. I was really part of an acquired startup, so I'm working at Google now.
Okay, let's know more about you. This thing will be divided into two parts because there are two really interesting things about you. First of all, how did you get at the top level among competitive programming? And second part, the startup and you getting acquired by Google. Before getting into coding, what were you doing before learning how to write code? How was life in Belarus different from life to some other places? What were some things you were doing back then?
I started coding in 8th grade of school.
Mm-hmm.
I was 13 at that time, and before that I tried to do different things like math and geography and just
Geography?
reading books. Yeah, I liked geography from the very young age, as I know, when I was 5, I knew all the capitals of the world.
At 5 years?
Yes.
Like all 119?
Yeah. My favorite book at that time was like Map of the World. Yes. I started doing math maybe when I was 10, and trying to participate in some local competitions with other schoolmates. And after I finished 7th grade, I transferred from one school to another, and there was like additional lessons of informatics there, which were taught by former participant of ICM Icpc and IOI. So
for those of you who don't know what those are, ICPC is like the International World Cup for programming for college students, and IOI is the World Cup for high school and middle school students, and those are held each year. So they're not as in soccer once every 4 years. There's once every 1 year. So you got to train with the best. With the best from your country.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So how did you do that transition? How did you decide that, I want to become among the best and train with the best?
I was invited by this school because this school checks results of math Olympiads
Mm-hmm.
in our city. And they invited me and some other students from different schools to try to go to that school. And at that moment, I haven't known that there is such good teacher there. I just knew that their results in physics, math, and informatics Olympiad are pretty good compared to other schools. So I wanted to go there.
Okay, and was this a state school or private school?
Yeah, in Belarus there are almost known private schools, so it was one of the state schools.
It was the state school,
Yeah.
which invited you, so basically they had people looking over the math results and invite the best. Okay, that's...
They're very interested in getting good results in Olympiads. There are several such schools in Belarus. It was one of them.
Wow, that's a really great thing. And one thing I want to point out, because for us coming from Eastern Europe, it's something maybe more something which we are used to, having schools which try to recruit the best students. But I think there are in other parts of the world that culture is not that strong. So it's a good thing to and please contradict me if I'm wrong, it's a good thing for you to aim to be in a community which is strong and to have other peers who are good at what they're doing. So let's go before going to your high school. How did you decide that you want to be good in math? When was the switching point?
I don't remember exactly. I tried to do something in different sciences, in different fields, and I understood that it's interesting to me to solve math problems. But when I started informatics, I understood that it's even more interesting to me to program them on a computer.
Because this is a strange thing. A lot of people, and even when I started, like just sitting on in front of a notebook and just write different numbers, not that interesting in the beginning. What was the spark, or how did you think about it being interesting, or was it from the beginning? Did you have a good teacher, or what?
Well, really, when I was maybe 12 years old, my parents bought me a computer, and me and my friend, we invented a way how to do a game in Microsoft PowerPoint.
In Microsoft PowerPoint, okay.
So it was rather long games. They had maybe almost 1,000 slides.
Okay.
And you could really win or lose there. It was inspired by GTA or Half-Life, which was popular at the time. So I think it was the first experience of almost programming.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, for example, that game that was similar to GTA, you need to steal a car and to drive somewhere. So there are several options. The car always drives on the screen from left to right. So when you press right button, it turns to next slide, and it drives. And sometimes you need to do some action, for example, shoot, and you can make your target a hyperlink to another slide somewhere in another place of this presentation.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. So this was the tutorial about how to build a GTA in PowerPoint.
It took almost half a year.
Okay, half a year of hard work in order to build a GTA. By the way, speaking of hard work, did you start doing math, like at the contest level?
I think around 10 years old. But at first it was like local city championship of middle school students. So we were in team, and usually individual Olympiads in math in Belarus starts from 7th grade. So it was in 7th grade.
No, okay.
Also there is one rather popular championship. It's called Kangaroo.
Yeah.
And I also participated from rather young age. I don't remember exactly, maybe around 10 years old also.
So when you first was aware of, whoa, I'm doing math contest, that was your first memory, or?
I don't know, I just tried to participate in different things, to read books about different sciences, to understand what is more interesting to me.
Yeah, so you really liked finding out about new things and learning. How did you keep your desire for playing video games or for doing things which are not productive? And how many hours did you train per day, or how did you keep yourself disciplined in middle schools and in high school?
Well, to be honest, I can't name myself disciplined even now, not only in high school.
No, I think you are now lying, because you're like really good in contests, and I don't think that was just a natural talent, and you were talented from the beginning. And you know how to solve all the problems.
I did a lot, but I did because I like it, not because I put myself into doing it.
Okay.
And it was always the case. When I was in middle school, if I wanted to play some games, I played some games. If I wanted to understand how new math tasks are solved, I tried to solve them or read the solutions.
Also, you're more interested in solving problems than in playing video games, so it wasn't actually a competition for your attention.
When you play video games for many hours in a row, you get bored of it and you need something else.
Oh, so for you
it was equally maybe when I was 10 it was equally interesting, and also geography, as I said, was interesting. It was interesting to read some books about different places in the world, so I just tried to do different things not to get bored.
So the method was, I'll just play as much computer as possible until I get so bored that math becomes interesting, and now I do math until I get bored and get back to computer.
And math tasks I usually got in created in interesting way, like Peter and Masha went to the shop and bought some sweets, so it's not just a equation that you don't know how to solve. It has some interest in it.
Oh, so yeah, I believe that's an interesting thing, because most of the math problems I've been exposed to were just, here's this equation, solve it. So you weren't required to come up with the equation. You just have, here's it, apply one of the algorithms taught in class.
Yeah, usually in middle school there are more interesting stories behind these problems.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's a thing which we need to learn. Okay, so what was your best result during high school?
During high school in informatics?
Yeah.
It was IOI in my last year in high school. I got silver medal at IOI, but it's not a second place as you might think about. It was around 38th place, because the rules are there are around 25 gold medals, around 50 silver medals, and around 75 bronze medals. And the total number of participants usually a bit more than 300.
300, yeah. So because there are that many participants, you get more medals because it's harder to get one because of the high number. And what followed next? High school was over. How did you choose your college? What were your goals?
Well, I didn't want to move out of Belarus at that time. So I chose from two top Belarusian universities that are specialized in informatics. It was Belarusian State University, that is just a university that has a lot of different faculties, math, informatics, biology, chemistry, all of them. And there is also one good university that is called Belarusian State University of Informatics and Radio Electronics, that is more specialized on physics and computer sciences, I know. But I have chosen the first one, Belarusian State University, because at the time it was more prestigious and more of my Olympiad friends went there. Yeah, so I thought that it'd be easier to create a strong ACM team in Belarusian State University.
So what were the reasons why you choose to remain in Belarus and not leave the country and go to probably because of your IOI results? You could have gotten to almost any university in the world.
I don't know, it's hard to say. I thought that in Belarus I will be more comfortable with preparing to ACM and with education, because in other countries I need to rent some apartment maybe or something like that, so I need to start work early and have more other problems to solve, not education.
Okay, so you went to college explicitly for ACM, Icpc?
No, but education is also, you have more time to educate yourself.
Okay.
When you don't need to solve problems about where to rent an apartment, where to get some money.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of my friends lived in Belarus at the time, and I wanted to communicate with them as much as possible.
Okay, and speaking of competitive programming, what was your best result in Icpc?
It was also silver medal, 5th place. In
5th place. That's really good. So a lot of people who went to world finals in ACM Icpc are saying that this is a lot more difficult than getting a medal in IOI.
Yeah, because as I said, in IOI there are more than 100 medals total, but in ACM Icpc usually there are 4 gold medals, 4 silver medals, and 4 bronze medals. but still there are around 100 teams from top universities of the world. It was hard, and I went to the finals twice, and in our first attempt we managed to get only around 30th place, and in our second attempt it was 5th place. Really great. I was very happy with that result.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks.
And what other things did you do during college? Did you apply for internships or what?
Yeah, between these two finals, I did internship in Yandex in Moscow, and after that they opened office in Minsk, so I started to work there half-time.
While preparing for?
Just before the finals I took 4 months vacation without payment to prepare, and after that I returned.
Okay, yeah. And did you have any difficulties in getting the internship with Yandex? Do you want to share some experience, like how was the application process? Did you also apply for companies in US or other parts of the world?
No, at that time it was not well known about internship in the US between students of our university, at least. So I don't know almost anyone who went to internship to the United States back then, because it was 7 years ago.
Okay.
And Yandex wanted to open their office in Minsk, and they were interested to find some people who have experience in Olympiads. So they found us, did some interviews, and then we went for the summer in Moscow.
Okay.
Yeah. And in autumn of that same year, they opened the office.
Did they take into account your performance in coding competition?
It was the reason why they invited me for the interview.
Oh, so
I haven't applied by myself.
Oh, so you haven't applied? Yeah, that's how it's like to be cool. Like, you don't apply for companies. There are companies applying for you.
Yeah, I've never applied to companies.
You never applied to this point? Wow. Yeah, you're next level. And if you're watching this video, I believe that this is a level that you want to be, a level where you don't apply to companies. You are so good that people are seeking you for your experience and for your talent. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I think Yandex is the equivalent of Google, more or less, from Russia.
Yeah, it's like a search engine and maps and mail and so on, rather similar to Google. They even also doing self-driving car now.
Okay.
And people I worked with in one team, they now working on self-driving car in Yandex.
Okay, and how was the work? Was it challenging? Was it interesting?
I worked in Yandex Maps project. Yes, I can say that all the tasks were interesting, but most of them were good. And there were usually some challenging things to do.
Okay, yeah, that's great. And what happened after college? How did you get into startups?
Well, there is one more fact that is rather crucial in my life. I haven't finished the university. Yeah, I dropped out after World Finals.
Okay.
And continued my work in Yandex because I understood that education level of software engineering in my university at that time was not at the modern level.
Yeah.
And
I think not only in your university. I
yeah.
think it is a general problem.
And also maybe I haven't enough discipline. And I decided to make like my own projects in spare times. I tried to do something and to educate myself just in Yandex and at home. In Belarus we have 5 years of bachelor. Now we have 4 years, but at that time we had 5, and I dropped out in the 4th year.
Oh, so right before graduating.
1.5 years before graduating.
Yeah. Okay, and what happened next? So you just worked full time. How did you get into startups?
Well, I worked at Yandex, and at some point, and in my spare time, I wanted to create my own projects. I tried to do something with my friends, but it was hard to do both your main work and your home project. And at some point, I learned that rather strong Belarusian guys that I knew about them from the news. They want to create new startup, and they search for some strong people to create the team, and also they searched for guys that are experienced in Olympiad, the same story that was in Yandex. So I decided at least to speak with them, because it was always interesting for me to compare work in startup and work in big company. It's different thing.
Okay, so you applied for them, or how did it work?
There is also an interesting story about it. There is a guy in Belarus that has the same surname as me, and he also had some experience in Olympiad programming and Topcoder, and at some point a lot of years ago he wanted to meet me just to know who am I, and for me to know who is he. And he already at that point decided to join that startup, and he made a phone call to me to invite also, like it would be funny you to join, because there will be two people with the same surname there. So I decided to speak with them, and it appeared that they were really interested in people with like competitive programming experience. So in several months I decided to join them, and I already had some people I know at that team, so it was comfortable for me to join.
Okay, and why do you think that a lot of companies are seeking people who have competitive programming experience?
I think the main reason that people with competitive programming experience can create like new ways to solve hard problems, to make some creative solutions.
Okay, yeah, so it's because of problem-solving ability.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you joined them. What was the startup doing? What was about? Can you share more about
this startup was called iMatter, and the main reason, the main thing they were doing is a framework that could run a neural network on mobile device without server. And these neural networks are usually used for computer vision tasks.
So was it about training the neural network on the device?
No, training was on server, but inference on device.
Okay, so that was the project. And the app you showed me, it was about putting masks on.
Yeah. So, and to demonstrate possibilities of this framework, we decided to make some app that is interesting in visual view.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first idea was to make a style transfer. It was a popular science work, like you can apply style from a picture from by Van Gogh or Picasso, to your photo. But we tried to do it in real time, to apply for video.
Okay.
And it was really hard. And at the same time, there was another app, Prisma, that have done the same.
And did they do it on video?
No. At first they did it only on photo, but they maybe outperformed us on a month. Like we did it in the same time, and they launched their app in June, and it was really not on device but on server. But we understood that popularity of this thing is not enough for two similar apps.
Okay, yeah.
So we decided to invent some other idea what can be done with neural networks to demonstrate the possibilities. And we made an app that can cut a person from a background and replace a background with another scene, like when you do it with green screen, but with any video.
Okay. Yeah, that was cool. That was the thing that I saw 2 years ago at Mind Coding, and it was incredible.
I think not 2 years, but like 1 year and a half, because we only launched in December 2016.
Okay. Yeah, and I think since then it didn't take long until Google acquired you.
So in several months some people from Google contacted us, or maybe our people contacted them. I don't know the details here.
Oh, sorry. Let's go back a bit. Were the people in the startup focused on just getting acquired, or what was the plan?
No. Really, we tried to move in several directions. Acquisition was a good idea, but also we tried to make it profitable. But it's appeared not so easy to sell this technology to like a library.
Okay, so you said that the company kept their options open, so they tried to also build something which was profitable, but also explored acquisitions opportunities. How did the Google acquisition happen?
There are people at Google who check some new apps at App Store and then Google Play, and one of them have seen that our app is good enough from technological side, and decided to contact our founders about possibility of acquisition, as I know.
Okay, and yeah, what happened? Can you describe the process into more details? How did you end up here in Mountain View?
So there were some discussions. I don't know all the details, and I think some of the details are confidential. But the thing from employee side, there was an interview with some people who already work at Google. It was similar to usual interview, but maybe a bit more specific to the things we were doing. And after some time of discussions, our company was acquired.
Okay, and were there any visa issues or any other thing regarding to relocation?
Any what?
Visa issues.
So we got L1 visas. L1 visa stands for transfer from foreign office of Google to United States office. And as our company was acquired, the time that we worked there was counted towards Google time.
Okay, and then you came here to Mountain View and joined which team of Google, and what's your role currently? Do you work on the same thing, or was just an acquisition for you to get hired? And yeah, can you share more about the interesting things?
So now we work in Google research, but we stay as the same team with the same guys, and maybe also several other Google employees joined our team to help us integrate our technology to other Google projects. So yeah, we are still working on the same things and try to make it more useful to other Google teams.
Okay, so when will you have background removal on Google Photos?
So there is already a background removal option in iOS app of YouTube, in app for creators, as I know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that sounds great. For me, being a YouTuber, can't wait to try it and put different backgrounds. Also, how is it working at Google different from working at the startup? Are things moving slower? Do you have more resources? Can you do more interesting things? Have more impact? What's your take on that?
Yeah, you're right in all of that things. You really have more impact because Google products are used with billions of users all over the world. But at the same time, decisions are made a bit slower because it's a big company and you need to speak with lawyers, with PR, with a lot of managers to make some impactful decision. And in startup, things usually work very fast. You just need to speak with one or two people and you can decide anything, almost anything in half an hour.
Okay, yeah. And I think a question which is on the minds of a lot of people who are watching is if you are a millionaire now because the startup was acquired, or what was the sum for which it was acquired?
I think it's pretty confidential, so I won't say it. It was good. We're happy with that. If we wouldn't happy with that, we haven't done the acquisition.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so basically if you get really good and build a valuable product, you have the potential of getting acquired by a large company, or maybe just continue working on that. Yeah, what do you think? What's your advice on people who are what's your advice for people who want to start writing code, who want to maybe follow your path? What do you think are the most important things for that?
I think if you want to start, you just need to find some good resources like maybe video courses or good books or online judges sites just to understand the basics. And when you are starting, it's always good to find people who also start or who started not far ago, because together you can make more progress.
What about those who are already into coding, who have some experience and want to progress in their careers, want to advance, want to become better?
Well, I can advise to explore new things, to understand what you are passionate about, and maybe some things that you need to be stronger in, and to work on that points.
Okay, and the last question, which will go back to your main area of focus, that's competitive programming. Why is competitive programming so important? Why do a lot of people from Eastern Europe get an advantage of that, and that advantage is useful for their whole lives? Why do you think competitive programming is useful? And then if you can move on, how to become better, and what's the level where you can, when you should stop? Because I don't believe that if you do it like really professional, like focusing just being number one on code forces, I don't think that's very useful.
Yeah, you're right, but if you are familiar with competitive programming, if you did it for several years, it's good because it's a fun way to increase your programming skills, and you can do it together with your friends or your teammates, and it really gets you focused on improving your programming skills.
Mm-hmm. And can you get some like concrete examples, like maybe how was it useful for you outside the competitive programming world?
Well, as for me, competitive programming helped me to find a lot of my friends, and to find any job I worked in. So it really it have built my life in that way. It is built now. And yeah, really, you maybe need not to try to be the very first in the world, but if you feel that you are strong enough already to convert to professional programmer and to find a job, so that's the time.
Okay, yeah. Thanks a lot. It was very interesting talking to you and having you sharing all your ideas, and hopefully you inspire a lot of people to work harder and become better. And yeah, until next time, don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe to our channel, because there will be more interviews coming and a lot more interesting videos. And until next time, I hope you will become a better programmer and maybe try some competitive programming. Go on some online judges and take part into some contests.